Yeah. All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday, December the 14th. Today, we will be covering our annual business planning. Very excited to have Wayne Fredrick here, who is Carl's coach as well as my coach, our friends, and he's going to help us today kind of just set the tone on what 2021 and the means to hit your goals should look like. One thing I want to say before I turn it over to Wayne is every year agents do business planning and it becomes a either PowerPoint or a workbook or just jotting down their goals. But I like to say you have to have a relationship with those goals and not just set it and forget it or set it and look at it every couple of months, every quarter. It needs to be a working relationship where, just like any relationship you have, you're working on it daily and you're actively pursuing the engagement. So you need to work on your goals, and it can't just be some lofty idea or target that you set and don't really look at and don't take the steps to hit it. So that's my 2 cents on goal setting. And Wayne, I will turn it over to you. You are now the host, so just monitor anyone looking to get admitted in. And the floor is yours. Everyone, Wayne Fredrick.
I'll do it. Thanks, Olivier. Appreciate it. Thank you all for, well, golly, starting your week with me. This is awesome. So completely agree with what Olivier just opened with. And that's what we're going to talk about today. If you're planning on sitting down with a calculator today and going through a lot of numbers in your business, this is not the session for that. Okay. We're going to talk more about mindset than anything else. There is a mindset of people who achieve their goals that is different from people who don't. We will talk about what works and what doesn't. And let me tell you one of the things that doesn't work, and it never has worked, and that is annual goal setting. Okay. Now, what I mean by that is you have to have an annual goal. That's fine. But if we don't take that annual goal and break it down to its smallest daily components, we won't get there. Okay. That's one of the keys. That is, to me, is a key that we see regularly as far as being able to take action. All right. So if we just throw a goal out there and say, I want to make X amount of dollars this year, if we don't layer a very serious plan behind it and make sure that we're wired to implement the plan, then goal setting becomes kind of Groundhog Day. And I'll talk to you guys about that as we get a little bit deeper in. So let me share my screen just really quick. Olivier, give me a thumbs up. I'm assuming everybody can see that just fine. Okay, perfect. All right. So, business planning 2021, and the subtitle is, I think, the important part of this, and that subtitle is, hang on, I've got to let some more people in. There we go. And that subtitle is, the more things change, the more they remain the same. And that is absolutely 100% what we want to talk about today. So with everything we have going on in the world, with COVID, with technology and all these things, at the end of the day, it's about what we do as individuals on a daily basis. It's about how disciplined we are on a daily basis. It's about a decision that we make, right? What I will tell you, I know to be true, is that your business doesn't just magically grow overnight. You have to make the decision to do the things in your life that you want to see accomplished, whether it's in business, your personal life, or whatever. And you have to make sure that your focus is on the right thing. Let me see if I can get my slides to advance. Will be good. All right. So my goal for today with you guys for the next hour and 20 minutes or so, however long we're together, depending on how many questions we have, whatever. My goal is this, is to help you develop the strategies and most importantly, and more importantly, the mindset for you to do one of the following three things. Okay. So number one is to make more income with your current workload. For a lot of us on here today, I'm fine with the hours that I'm working. I just wish I could squeeze more money out of those hours, right? then we might have some people who say, you know what, I'm great with the amount of money I'm making. I just want to get my life back, right? I don't want to work as many hours as I'm working right now. Or optimally, is it possible for us to make more income with less workload? And the answer is yeah, it really is. There is no correlation between the amount of money one makes and the number of hours that it takes them to do it. Because if this were true, okay, if there was a hardwired connection between time and money, then you wouldn't be able to have someone making $1 million a year and working 35, 40 hours a week. Conversely, you wouldn't have people working 60, 70 hours a week, perhaps, and making $50,000. So there's no correlation, okay? None, zero, never has been actually, between the amount of hours that one works and the amount of money that one makes. And I'll just say something else to that effect as well. I personally do not believe it is noble for you to work 1 million hours a week selling real estate. I don't think you should lose your life in the pursuit of being a real estate agent. If you're working a tremendous number of hours in this particular industry and you are not hitting your financial goals, I'll just tell you exactly what the issue is. You are not as good at this as you need to be to hit your financial goals more quickly. You're spending too much time with people that aren't going to do it. Okay? So with that little premise, let's dig a little bit deeper. Pablo Picasso said, our goals can only be reached. I'm admitting people, that's when I pause. Through a vehicle of a plan in which we must fervently believe and upon which we must vigorously act. There is no other route to success. Okay, so let's take that and slice that up a little bit. In which we fervently believe. Number one, that means that you believe in the plan. It is not a plan somebody else told you ought to go after. It is not, hey, I do my business this way, you ought to do it the way I do it. You have to spend time to get this down to what you believe to be true, what your rules are, right? And upon which we must vigorously act. And it's all about taking action. And we'll talk about what keeps us perhaps from taking the action. I don't know who to attribute this to. It's anonymous, but it's a great quote. Well, I got some more people in the waiting room here. Let me let them in. There we go. There's a voice inside of you that whispers all day long what's right for you. Just listen to the voice that speaks inside. I believe that at our core, we have a set of rules for our life, right? We have things that should be not on the table for discussion. That's your inner voice. And if we can help you design a business model around those things, you'll get to where you want to go faster. Actually, you'll get to where you want to go. And then there's also a quote, well, maybe there is. There we go. From Steve Jobs. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. So my question to you is this. What do you have in common with these people? That's Steph Curry, the most prolific three-point shooter in the NBA. Annika Sorenstam, who was the preeminent female golfer. I'm a golfer, so I'm going to throw two golfers at you. Tiger Woods, right? Michael Phelps and Serena Williams. I mean, what do you have in common with these people? Besides everything, they're human beings just like you are, right? They have all the same physicality that we have. So, but what else do you have in common with them? I'm admitting that's why I'm pausing. I apologize.
No problem.
All right. What else do you have in common with these people? You have the opportunity to make the decision to be elite. Because that's really what it is. It's a decision that people make. Okay? Now, my contention to everyone on here is this. their chosen playing fields of being elite, the basketball court, the swimming pool, the golf course, and the tennis court. Your chosen field to be elite is the real estate business. It operates no differently than what these people went through. At one moment in time, the only thing that differentiated these 5 individuals from the other people that were either in the room or, doing junior sports with them, AAU, whatever, the only thing that made them any different was they made a decision. They made a decision to focus in more on the things they were great at. If you do research about these people, you will discover they are very focused and they do something that we don't do as the average individual, and that is they practice. That for every minute that they are in the field, on the court, whatever, they have spent hours upon hours getting better at their craft. And we don't do that as realtors. As an industry, we do not do it. So this is a personal decision that everyone can make. You make the decision to become elite. It doesn't happen overnight. I hear agents all the time talk about, well, I want to become a better listing agent. Well, you have to make a decision that you're going to do that. It doesn't just happen overnight, right? It doesn't happen. There's something called Pareto's Law. And you've heard me probably talk about this before if you've heard me at all. He looked at the wealth of Europe, and 20% of the wealth, or 80% of the wealth was in 20% of the people, and then 80% of that wealth was in 20% of those people. And the more that he dug, the more valid it became. But it's a law of life. You'll wear 20% of the clothes in your closet 80% of the time. You'll walk on 20% of your carpets 80% of the time. You'll eat from 20% of the restaurants 80% of the time, and when you get there, you will order from 20% of the menu 80% of the time. It's a law. Now, here's how it plays out in the real estate business. 80% of your income, when you really get down to it, comes from 20% of your activities. And here's the bigger one. There are 20% people and there are 80% people. So if you want to go back 3 slides and I said, you know what, is it possible for you to make more income in less time, thereby being able to spend more time with your family, do the things you want to do and all of that, right? Then what we have to do is make sure that we are spending our time with whom? And that's 20% people. See, 20% people are the talent of the planet, right? They look at the world a different way. They process information differently. They study more. There's just this walk and talk of a talented person. So if you're working a ton of hours, it means you're hanging out with a lot of 80% people, quite honestly. Now, how does this play out, really play out day in, day out in your business? Every time you get a lead, every time someone walks into your open house, every time you get a Zillow call, whatever, you have to learn the process of figuring out whether this is a 20%er or an 80%er. And you have to figure out how to get close to the 20% people if you want to have a fabulous realtor life while not losing your life in the process. But we don't spend enough time practicing. We spend a lot of time doing other junk that just doesn't matter. You cannot overestimate the unimportance of practically everything that you spend yourself doing in your day. And by the way, in our business, the beautiful part is we're our own bosses, and the hard part is we're our own bosses. Nobody can make us do anything. But did you know that the word priority came into the English language in the 1400s, and it was singular until the 1900s when we made the word priorities? See, back in the day, you had your priority. You didn't have all these options of all this stuff I needed to get done. We need to be spending our days as best we can in our highest and best use every moment. We need to learn how to say no. So the question is, what's your priority? There's 2 basic priorities in real estate sales: lead generation and lead conversion. Of those 2, I will tell you what I believe is the most important one, and that's lead conversion. See, we spend so much time on lead gen that we kind of just figure that the conversion will happen. And the world is changing, and that doesn't necessarily happen anymore. If you have a tremendous number of leads, lead conversion is your biggest issue, because you can't afford to work with people that are going to waste your time when you have a huge lead flow. If you don't have a huge lead flow, lead conversion is the number one issue, because you can't afford to miss out on someone that is really good. But here's how much time we spend doing things, okay? We'll spend a year and 8 months doing housework in our lifetime, a year and 11 months socializing with people, 2 years and 2 months buying things, 3 years, 7 months eating. But look at the next one, 6 years and 8 months on social media. Now, there's two paths, obviously, for social media. Number one, it's set up as a driver of your business. And number two, it's a time suck. It's you sitting there watching how other people are leading their lives and living their lives. And this is something that we're going to spend 6 years of our life doing, almost 7. And it didn't exist 12 years ago. It wasn't even a thing. And all of a sudden, look how it's occupied our minds. We'll spend 8 years watching TV, and we'll spend 26 years sleeping. Now, I want to take just the social media piece for a second. And I am a fan of social media as a driver of your business if you position it that way. I'm not a fan of the first thing you do in the morning of looking at Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is and watching other people do things. And here's why. The average adult in 2018 spent 144 minutes a day on social media. That was up 62.5% in 6 years. I don't have the 2019 numbers, I will guarantee you the 2020 number will be off the charts because of COVID, because of us being in our house and all that. But in that we'll just take the 144 minutes. That's 876 hours in a year, staring at your phone or computer, watching other people live their lives, getting involved in stupid conversations about things that you have no control over whatsoever. But if you read a half a page a minute, which is really not very fast, it's not like you have to be a fast reader to pull this off. And an average book length of 300 pages, in that same amount of time, you'd read 87 books in a year. If we spend as much time studying things that will make us better, rather than watching how other people are leading their lives, because it doesn't empower us, it kind of shreds your confidence at times. We could read 87 books in a year. And what people always say to me is, I don't have time. Well, according to Fast Company in 2019, the average CEO of a Fortune 500 company reads 60 books a year. Well, if they have time to do it, why don't we? Could that be the difference? Could the difference be that we just don't spend as much time seeking wisdom as the Fortune 500 CEO? Oh, by the way, do you think the Fortune 500 CEO just started reading books when they became a Fortune 500 CEO? I mean, if that's the case, do you think that Steph Curry just started shooting a lot of three-pointers when he got to the NBA? No. You think Michael Phelps was like, hey, there's a pool. I think I'll jump in. I'll be in the Olympics here in a couple of weeks. No. It's the daily grind, right? And it's not really a grind. It's daily seeking wisdom. And we don't do enough of it. And I want to challenge everybody to do that. So if I'm going to challenge you to do it, I better give you something to start with, right? If you've been around me at all, I'm a voracious reader. It's the common theme of virtually everybody that I aspire to be like, or people that I hang out with. I'm going to give you 5 books, all right? 3 of them are relatively old books. The first one is called The Alchemist. If you haven't read The Alchemist, I would suggest that you go read it. It's a quick read, and it's a really awesome message about the fact that if you just take any action step in life, it'll work. It's almost like the universe or God is sitting there waiting. Would you go do something and I'll bless it and I'll make it go for you? Go take an action step. Number two, if you've never read the E-Myth Revisited, you should read it. I read it every year. It's my annual read because I see myself on different pages every time I read it. To me, it's a definitive work on small business. The third book is called Essentialism by Greg McKeown. In that book, the overriding message is that if you are a talented person, your biggest challenge is figuring out which of the options you should go do. Because if you're talented, you literally can do anything. You literally can do anything. And out of that book, you will pick up the comment of no is a complete sentence. Say no, say it early. Give you two more books. This is a brand new book that just came out. It's called Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. If you haven't read it, I would suggest you go get it. I will just tell you, about a third of the way through the book, when he's in Australia, grind it out because you're going to want to put the book down. Okay? Too much detail on him living in Australia for a year, I'll just tell you. But after that, prior to that and after that, it's awesome. And what he talks about is his basic theory on life. I'm looking for green lights. Right? You're driving down the road. If you keep catching the green lights, you get there faster, right? And sometimes a red light is actually a green light if your mindset is correct. It's full of stories. It's very funny. It's a great book. And then the last one I will tell you about is called The Adventure of I. This is a book that Jack Fry, who Olivier knows, turned me on to. This one talks about you and who you are and the energy of your life and how your mind works and the conscious and the subconscious. And it's deep. I will just tell you, it's a deep book. It is not one that you sit down and just read. You read a little bit of it every day. I can't read more than a chapter a day. Jack tells me he can't read more than 3-4 paragraphs a day. And it's a constant read as well, because everything that we're running into in our lives, all of those stresses, all of those wins that we have, whatever, are defined in this book. So if you want to start reading books, here's 5 for you to start with. Because the real estate business is not consistent and because no one can make us do anything, it can't make you do anything, you and your activities have to be very consistent.
Wayne, real quick, who wrote The Adventures of I?
The Adventures of I is written by a lady named Tanya Kostas, Kostos. Okay. The other 3 books you can get on Audible. That book you cannot. Amazon has it in hard copy, in a paperback. They do not have it on Audible because the circulation of that book is not high enough, I guess, to warrant Audible.
Got it.
Okay, Tanya Kostas, Kostos.
Thanks.
So if it's all about being consistent, here's what we have to deal with. We are consistently the most inconsistent group of people on the planet as real estate agents. We have the best intentions every day, right? And yet we go over here and we have some success, and then we sit back on our haunches for a while, and then we run over here and do this, and then we do that. And that's the bridge that we have to constantly be working on. So the question is, are you moving towards something or are you moving away from something else? See, most realtors' businesses, quite honestly, are very reactive. We leave huge blocks of time open in our schedule in case somebody calls, right? The whole Zillow play, the Trulia, the Zillow, the Realtor.com play, very reactive books of business. In fact, if you look at it this way, working a buyer is a reactive piece of business. The dynamic of buyers, working a big book of buyers, is that it's reactive and it takes a lot of time. But you can proactively go after the listing side. Both movements work short term, but only one works long term. If you're reactive, it'll work. You'll have these huge spikes in your business, but then your business will fall off again. But if you want sustainability, we've got to go for the proactive pieces. And this is where being a realtor is where it becomes a hard time. This is where we really have to focus in on what is it we want to do and have a model and hold the model accountable for results not ourselves. So when you look at your business, you got to answer this question for yourself. Who are you? Number one, there's three types of realtors in my life or my world. There's the pros, there's the tweeners, and there's the rookies. The pro is focused on 2 or 3 possible options for lead gen. They know every subtle nuance of what they're doing, and they're incredibly consistent at conversion. They're pros. They're like Steph Curry shooting 3-pointers, right? They're Michael Phelps knowing the subtle nuances of every stroke in the pool for the races he's going to be in, because he's not in every race. We've got to do the same thing with our business. 2 or 3 possible ways of generating leads. Then we have the tweener. That's most realtors. They dabble in a lot of strategies. Very busy people, these tweeners. They try a little bit of everything, and it's funny because it's like, I'm doing this and this and this and this and this, and I'm going to add this in over here because Rocco was doing it. It looked like it worked for him, so I think I'm going to try that next year, right? And they get to be everywhere and nowhere in a lot of cases, right? And so what happens with a tweener is you're doing all these activities and you're making money. And it's like, well, I'm making money because of all these activities. But when we dig deeper into it, we take a deeper dive into your business, what we discover is, yeah, you're making money. But the money you're making is probably from 2 or 3 of the possible things you're doing. So why don't we double down on those things? And this is why constant analysis of your business is so important. And then lastly, we have the rookie. They're everywhere and nowhere at the same time, operating completely out of fear and chasing business. Now, here's the thing. If you're new to the industry and you're on this webinar today, maybe right now you're a rookie. I just want to tell you, you do not have to go through tweener land to become a pro. You can make that decision, right? Because it is a decision. Make the decision to turn pro, just as Steph Curry and Serena and all these people did. The other thing I will tell you is this has nothing to do. Whoops, I was trying to let somebody in and I clicked. This has nothing to do with how long somebody's been in the business. I know people who've been doing this 30 years and mentally they're still a rookie. And it also has nothing to do with the level of production. Because tweeners and rookies, there's a lot of people in that category. They make a lot of money, but they don't have a life. They don't have the life that goes along with it. The true pro, they have a great life as a realtor. They make a lot of money. They hit all their goals. They have a different mindset. And I will make this comment, and this is not because I'm on a webinar with you guys, but you guys have, in my opinion, 2 of the greatest people to follow as leaders of all of my clients. I got some other great ones out there, but if you want to watch true pros go about this, just follow Carl and Olivier, because they have the mindset, right? Those of you that have been in Carl's operation since I've been around, which is going on 6 years now, you see the progression of when Carl's a pro. There's no doubt about it. And I would say this if he was on here today, right? And I talk about you guys all the time in other webinars, because I think that there's just a walk and talk of a pro. There's no physical difference, really. By the way, there's no bias. I know women. I'm going to show you some slides on a client of mine here in a few minutes. It's not a man-woman thing. It's not young, old. It's not college degreed or GED. None of that matters. It's a decision. It's in our heads. Are we going to turn pro or not? You don't have to. You don't have to turn pro. Your life's a lot better if you turn pro. So we're in the middle of a technological revolution in our industry, and yet the average income per agent nationally has not gone up. The average number of transactions isn't going up, and the average number of hours that agents are working is not going down. And why is that? That is because of this right here, that being busy does not always mean real work. The object of all work is production and accomplishment. Seeming to do is not doing. Technology we thought was going to make our lives so much easier, and it didn't, hasn't. But you can utilize and harness technology if you have the right mindset, if you make the decision. The life test is the hardest one you'll ever take. Even though others may try to help you define it, there's only you can answer the question correctly. There's no wrong answer, but when you answer the question, everything falls into place. So what's the question? And the question, quite simply, is what do you want? Once and for all, what do you want? What are your rules for your life? Can you state your rules for your life? Can you state your rules for your work? Do you have this filter that you run every opportunity through? You should. I mean, I can tell you I do. And you think I'm crazy. And one of the things I've learned in my life is that it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Half the people think I'm a nut job anyway. So, but I have 3 rules. I have 3 things that I look for in every opportunity. Number 1, I have to love the work. Number 2, there's a financial component to it. Number 3, I have to have complete freedom. And I will not violate those. I have to have my freedom. I enjoy my freedom. I think everybody on this webinar today, y'all enjoy your freedom. That's why we got into this business, right? And yet, I know there's some people on here right now that you feel like you have no life because you're a realtor. Well, you can make the decision to have your business run exactly like you thought it was going to run when you first got your license. If you lost your way, I'm sorry?
I was going to say, sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, I like this want. I think so many times people look at the why, like what's my purpose, my why, but I like this want. What do you really want? What do you want out of things? And if you know what you want, then you're going to work towards that. I like this.
I mean, I think that when you first got your real estate license, remember how fired up and excited you were? And I know there's still people on here. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom here, but I know there's some people on here that are like, wow, this is not turning out the way that I thought it would. I'm stressed out. I'm not making the money that I thought I would. You can change it. It's a decision. And again, what I will tell you, everybody on here, you're aligned. If you want to do that, you're at 100% the best company and surrounded by the people that can help you get there. And I do not say this every time I teach business planning. I just know the trajectory that this company is on. I just talked to Carl about it last week in another venue. See, this is strictly between you and yourself. Nobody else is involved. And I made that comment a little while ago, that a couple of minutes ago, that I just know in my life now, it doesn't matter what I do, half the people think I'm crazy. And that's okay. And the reason they think I'm crazy is because I'm not running my life the way they run theirs. But the question is, are you really running your life? Are you making decisions day in, day out in the context of an overall business model? Or are you just reacting to the stuff that hits you every day? That's a decision. The bottom line is this. You have a life. We all have a life. If we're on here today, we are alive. We have a life. Now, here's the thing about our lives. If you love where you are right now, the situation you're in, you get to take 100% credit for it. If you are really challenged with where you are right now, you get to take 100% credit for it because it is nobody else's fault but your own. My kids would tell you that one of my favorite quotes, and I have a lot of them, but one of my favorite quotes is the search for someone to blame is always successful. One of my mentors told me one time, he said, you can't get yourself in a situation you didn't try to get yourself into, so suck it up and get on with it. Because see, our lives are what we created. Wherever we are, we've created this. Now, why did we create this life that we love or that we are challenged with? And that was because of what we expected. And what are our expectations driven by? Well, they're driven by our thoughts. And here's the big deal. What are your thoughts driven by? Your thoughts are driven by your inputs. See, if you don't seek wisdom on a daily basis, and I mean this, if you're not reading every day, you're not studying every day, you're not modeling things out, you're not talking to people who think the right way every single day, your thoughts, expectations, and your creation will go negative rather than being positive. This is why I don't like people looking at Facebook all the time. This is why these things are scary to me, because they do not build you up. You have to input. You have to consciously go out and find information that makes me feel good. That I read about the patterns of other people that I aspire to be like, and I know that if I just mirror what they do, I'll get there. 3 Ds of success. Everything in my life happens in threes. Some of you have seen this before. You have to differentiate yourself. You have to differentiate yourself in your marketplace. You can't be like the average realtor anymore. We used to get by with that. Technology has changed that on us. Number 2, you have to defend. You have to defend the people you already have. I'll go into depth in that in a little while. And number 3, you have to disrupt somebody else's business. And we all know that there's a lot of people getting into the real estate business right now, aren't there? Agent counts are at like all-time highs again because the market is good and rates are low. And you probably have had your business disrupted this year by a friend of yours, perhaps, that got in the business. And all of a sudden, somebody that would have been your client last year is not your client this year because the new person got in and they're better friends. And that deals with the fact that we didn't defend our people as much as we should have. When we do all these three things constantly, you have a sustainable business. I mean, in a nutshell, Olivier, this is what you guys are doing with the offices. Yeah. I don't mean to keep patting them on the back, but you guys are really lucky. Not Olivier and Carl. You guys that are with them are really lucky. You got the 3 Ps of success. Number 1, you got to practice. You have to practice. Good God, you have to practice. Please practice. Start practicing. You have to prospect. Now, I don't mean that you have to, I don't mean that you have to pick up the phone and make phone calls and all that. It can take on a myriad of different looks, but you have to do something to generate business. You have to learn how to present at an incredibly high level today. Incredibly high level in the key business units, right? I mean, where do we really make our money? Listing presentations, buyer presentations, pricing of property, writing a contract, presenting a contract. We have to really be fabulous pros in those moments. And when we do these things, we'll have continual growth, right? It's not like we get here and then we stop practicing. I was listening to an interview the other day, Urban Meyer, the former Ohio State coach, and they asked him about, winning the national championships. And he said, that takes a lot of work to get to the top of the mountain. He said, but what the average person doesn't realize, it takes just as much work to stay there, because once you've done it once, people expect you to do it again. Listen, guys, this is what I mean by studying, right? You can pick up little snippets just along the way, right? And lastly, we have the 3 C's of action. And to me, this is probably the biggest one. So information without implementation to me is simply noise, meaning you can have all the head space you want to. Like, oh, I know how to do that. I know how to do this. And it doesn't matter. Give me someone who will take action over somebody who has a lot of head knowledge. So number 1, we have to have clarity. We have to be crystal clear on what we want. Once we're crystal clear on what we want and how we're going to get there, now we know where we need to build up our confidence. Now we know those things we need to practice. And when we do that, we'll be consistent, because here's how I think things work. I think you consistently do the activities you're confident in. I think if confidence is lacking, we won't be consistent. And when we do we put these three together, now we have the proper action for you. Not for me, but for you. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about how you're doing your business, as long as you believe this is the way to do business. You'll only take consistent action on what you believe in, you're equipped to do, and is behaviorally in tune with your core. And if you haven't taken some kind of a behavior test, I think you should take a personality test. There's a direct correlation between your personality and your activities. What I know is the top producing people are taking their daily activities are in harmony with their behavior style and their personality. The biggest challenge in growing any business is simply this, and that's being intentional. That's waking up every day with an intentional thought process. Why do companies become great companies? Because they intended to. Go back and read, if you read the E-Myth, it's in there, go back and read about Tom Watson and IBM. When Tom Watson created IBM, he intended for it to become this behemoth company. Intention is the biggest challenge because it's so easy for us to get sucked off and chase things that we don't need to be chasing. What's the simplest business model of all? Hey, this is so simple. Apparently we're missing it. Number one, be really good at what you do. Just be really good, right? So we can tell right now as our industry, right? Our industry doesn't understand this. Think of the people you run into all the time, other agents, they're not very good at this, right? The second thing, be nice. Don't make speeches to people. Nobody cares. Lastly, stay in touch with people. See, I believe if you simply get real, you focus every day on getting a little bit better at this, you're incredibly nice to everybody you talk to. And then you stay in touch with them. Well, guess what? Your business will flywheel. If you take any of these three things out of the equation, your business will go like this. Every time your business goes like this. You can be really good at this and stay in touch with people, but if you're not nice to people, your business won't go to the level that it could. You can be really nice to people and stay in touch, but if you're not any good, they won't tell their friends to use you. They may still use you because it's too awkward not to, but they will not tell their friends to use you. And then the biggest Achilles heel for small business is the last one. You're really good at what you do. You're incredibly nice to people, but you don't stay in touch with them. It's the Achilles heel of small business. Yes.
One quick question. Where can I take the personality test? Would you recommend Tony Robbins the DISC test, or what would you recommend?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of a DISC test. I think it's relatively easy for us to take. I mean, I've got paper ones I can send out if somebody wants to do it. You can go on TonyRobbins.com, or you used to be able to. I'm assuming you still can, and take the DISC. And then sit down with Carl, Olivier, Jason, whoever, and make sure that your activities are in harmony with your DISC test. That's really the thing. Quick story. Some of you have heard this story before. So when I started running the brokerage in 2001, I had 5 people that were really, really doing a nice book of business for our market. They were doing between 18 and 20 million a year. And in Springfield, Missouri, at an average sales price back then of about 125,000, that's a pretty good chunk of business. And they were all doing it completely differently. And I had one lady that got in the office every morning at 7, put on a headset and started dialing, cold caller. I had another gentleman who had 3 builders and 2 developers and nothing else. One guy did 2 open houses almost every Sunday and had 5 geographic farms. And I had 2 people that were huge marketing people. And I gave them all DISC tests just to see if I could identify a pattern. And here's what I discovered. I discovered that for those top earners, they were running their businesses exactly in harmony with their personality. They didn't know it because they'd never taken a test like this before. They'd kind of stumbled into it, if you will. I then went to the next tier of people in the office. I started seeing some disparity between their personality and what they were trying to do. And then I went to the bottom tier of people and it was like an X. Okay. Now, having said that, let me tell you the number one thing that these personality tests will not test for, and that's motivation. You can be 100% in the right category, wired the right way and all that, but if you are not motivated, which no one can train you to be motivated, we can train you to get more confident, but can't train you to be motivated. That's just the mark of a talented person. So the three legs of any business, I believe, are this. Number one, you have client systems that once somebody comes into your fold, we'll talk more about this in a minute, they never leave. Number two, that you do some kind of marketing on a regular basis. This can be Facebook, it can be the social media plays, it can be geographic farms. I mean, there's a lot of variations to this. And lastly, you need to do some type of prospecting, meaning go where the people are, right? So to me, this thing is always like a three-legged stool. Take care of the people you have, do some level of marketing to get to people that you don't have or don't know, and lastly, go where the people are, meaning open houses, new subdivisions, whatever. And when you have all those going, you'll have a scalable model. I mean, you can look at anyone's business that has gotten to the level you aspire to. They did these things, whether it was conscious or unconscious, I don't know, but they did them. So the question is, how good are you? In today's world, please understand this, you're always competing. Even if the competition is nameless and faceless. There is a filter, there is a framework with which the public looks at everything you say and everything you do now as a realtor. We're seeing ads all the time, right? You see the ads on Sunday or on morning shows about the ideal agent, I think, we'll do it for 2%, or why pay a realtor this and why that. Even though you've never met these people, that becomes the framework within which I look at everything you say to me. In a competitive environment, there's only three things that separate you from everybody else. Number one is your processes. People refer processes. They do not and have never referred people. People refer you to someone else because they enjoy your process. Number two, your materials. How good are your materials in the field? Obviously, we're talking listing packets, buyer packets, FSBO packets, questionnaires, things that help you handle phone calls easier, right? Pre-listing questionnaires, right? Pre-listing questionnaires, buyer questionnaires printed off on a laminated sheet with a dry erase marker, so you always ask the proper questions. And lastly, your dialogue. Dialogue is huge. Dialogue is a bigger deal now than it's ever been in this business. Do materials matter? Well, let me show you an example from one of my clients. So I had been on Jennifer, and she's going to show up here again in a minute. I've been on her for a little while about this. And she gave me this screenshot from an open house. Said, I'm hosting my open house. I'm not holding back, and I'm putting out all the literature I have. I even printed a list of open houses occurring today in the neighborhood to hand out. And this is when the open house starts. When you go into an open house, does the island in the kitchen of the house that you're in, does it look like this? To where regardless of where this conversation goes, you might perhaps have something for the client. I got this from her a little while later. I've already picked up one buyer lead. A little while later, she said, you're so right. People are eating this up. 3 buyers picked up and they loved all the info. This is where this industry is right now, guys. And I don't think it's going back. It's not about us knowing the value. It's not about us having information about the overall market. The public has that now. It's about how do you differentiate yourself when I meet you? How do you bring value to the table for me? The problem is so many options, so little time. You can generate business just about anywhere. Everything works. Talk really quickly about tweeners. You look at small business, you look at any business, small or large, actually. There's 3 big buckets of business. It's advertising, referral, and prospecting. Everybody says they want to work by referral. It's the easiest book of business, right? You're already pre-sold. The challenge is you need 250 to 300 people in your network, which I'll explain that to you in a second if you don't already know it, in order to have a nice, sustainable business working by referral. Now, if you don't have that, then you got to go one of two ways. You either got to prospect your way to those people. That's you actively going out and talking to people you do not know, or you have to advertise your way to it, with the ultimate goal being to get 250 to 300 people in my network, people I'm in flow with, people who know me, like me, and want to deal with me. In the middle of all that is what I've always called tweener land. Not doing enough of any of the activities to really matter, not knowing exactly where our business comes from, being a little bit of everywhere and nowhere at the same time, doing a little bit of advertising, sporadically contacting our referral base, maybe a little prospecting every now and again. And the only issue that we deal with is tweeners aren't focused. And focus, again, is a decision. It's a mental state. Here's the game that we play. You got the general public. They don't know us. They don't like us. This is Zillow. This is Trulia. It's all about response time and initial conversation, by the way. Then you have your acquaintances. Now, they will use you if they have the chance, but they'll use somebody else. Better than that, you have your network. They will always use you. Ultimately, aren't we trying to turn people into advocates for us? Because advocates stop traffic for you. And here's what we know. When you have a client at a closing, you have a closing this week, this month, the next day they're an advocate for you because I know you did a great job. You wouldn't be in this organization if you didn't do a great job, because that's the standard for your organization is you do a great job, you focus on the customer. That person is an advocate for you the next day, but they do not stay there. Over time, they become part of your network again. Over a longer period of time, if you don't stay in flow, they become an acquaintance. And lastly, they become members of the general public, and you have to go try to find them again. This is what we have to shore up in today's world. Actually, all this technology, all these options for the public, what are they doing? They're sending us backwards. They're sending us where we have to go back and focus on the one thing we can do that the internet and all these third parties can't do, and that's build and rebuild and fortify a relationship. Olivier, it's like what you talked about. You have to have a relationship with your goals. We all have to have a deeper relationship today with your past clients than you ever have. The principle of priority states that you must know the difference between what is urgent and what is important, and you must do what's important first. And we are in a business, an industry of urgency, aren't we? Everybody wants it now. Everybody wants, I want to go see this house now. We need to back up a little bit. We need to spend our time, energy, and effort making sure that we do the most important thing for our long-term viability of our businesses. This is this same Jennifer Dodds. She started it, and I've been telling people about this for years, and she pulled the trigger on it. I'm going to take you out to her site here, if this will work right. Hopefully it will. All right, so this is Jennifer's Raving Fans Club. All right, this is a Facebook group that she started. By the way, her business doubled this year. Her business doubled. She's down in Houston, Texas. Okay. This is a closed Facebook group. Only her raving fans get in there. She makes offers to them all the time that are only available to the group. She was going to have a drawing this last week for, she was going to rent out a theater and give it to someone so they could invite their 20, I think it's 20 or 25 friends, right? Let me go on down a little bit. There's her daughter eating a donut.
Wait, we're not seeing her site. We're just seeing
Oh, you're not seeing it?
No, it's probably opened a different browser for you.
Yeah, it did. I'm sorry. All right, well, let me just do this then. Oops, now I've totally screwed this up, see? Hold on, Olivier. See, this is what I get when I try to be techie, right?
Get out of here.
Okay, now, okay. You can see this, right?
No, it's still the, oh, now I see her. Yeah.
Now
I
you
see
see it.
it.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
Let me just go back to this. I'll just explain it to you. I tried to be a little too techy this morning. Okay. She's got a closed Facebook group of her past clients. She's constantly promoting and doing giveaways strictly to her past clients. This thing is filled with people holding up Starbucks saying, "Thank you so much. You're the greatest realtor." Everything that she does, she asks them to tag Cypress, Texas best realtor. And they're doing it. I mean, it's all these smiling faces of her clients saying, "Thank you so much. You're the best. You're the bomb. You're awesome." This will scale her business to the next level. This is the really important things that we must be doing.
That's awesome because it also allows you to stay in front of them, stay top of mind, and hitting. She had 86, I think, hitting all your clients with a couple quick things every week. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. So we got 3 issues that we deal with. Number 1 is, how good is our skill set? This is kind of a gut check time. How good are you really? I mean, how good are you in a competitive environment when you're going up against 2 or 3 different agents? Do you even compete? Because I will tell you that if you want to scale your business, you want more, you want to go to a level where you're going to start competing. All right. Secondly, we have our disciplines. How disciplined are we? And thirdly, we have our habits. And any shortfall or frustration, and by the way, any win in our life can be traced back to these 3 things. Embrace what I call the power of 15. 15 minutes a day thinking about your business in an entrepreneurial way. 15 minutes a day writing thank you notes to your clients. 15 minutes a day generating new business. 15 minutes a day working on your scripts and dialogues. 15 minutes a day working on your materials. 15 minutes. Don't try to do any more than 15. Just lock down 15 minutes. 15 minutes of working out. 15 minutes of reading. I can go on and on and on. Try to get the habit down of 15 minutes because it will grow. And then remember the rule of 2. Never let more than 2 days go by without you spending time in the power of 15. Never let more than 2 days go by without you spending 15 minutes writing thank you notes or thinking of you notes to your clients. Never let more than 2 days go by without you just sitting down with a notebook and thinking about your business. And the rules of your business are quite simple. Time and money are not the issue. What is the business of your mind, that business of your dreams? Do you have one? Well, hopefully after today, maybe you'll sit down really and put pen to paper, because until you know what it is you're trying to go achieve, then whatever you do is okay. Because we don't even know where you're trying to get to. So it might work. Know, do, and have. You've seen this before, I know. Everything you could possibly know about the real estate business, all the activities you could ever do, and all of the widgets and technology you could ever have. The reality is you'll never know everything, you'll never do everything, and you'll never have everything. You only need to know, do, and have those things that are in the context of the 2 or 3 things you're going to do, that you're regularly going to do in this business. You ignore everything else. You don't need to know it. Being good is the enemy of being great. The fox and the hedgehog. The fox is a lot of fun at parties. They can talk a little bit about a whole lot of stuff, but the hedgehog always wins. They can talk at length about a few things. They know every subtle nuance of what they're doing. They know where their business comes from. They know how to drive it, and that's what they focus on. You have to have a passion for what you're doing. You have to believe you could be the best in the world at it. You may not be there yet, but you know you can be the best in the world at it. You have to understand your economic model and your economic engine, and that gives you the big honking audacious goal. And the marketplace is so interesting in that when someone has these 3 things in play, the marketplace moves out of their way. Look at how much your companies have grown over the last 4 years. And it's like everybody just kind of gets out of your way and goes, whoa, look at them. They're really growing. Look at the individual agents in your office who made the decision to scale. And all of a sudden, the marketplace just gets out of your way. Look at the brand new agent that comes in that's talented, and they stake a claim for themselves, and the marketplace just gives them space. It's the most amazing thing. Things that we have to understand: talent, awareness, and recognition. What are you good at, right? What are you already good at? What do you bring to the table? Knowledge. You have to have knowledge. You've got to have the reality habit, which says, here's where my materials really are today. Here's where my scripts and dialogues really are today. You have to be focused. You have to be consistent. And most importantly, you need other people. It's imperative that we have other people. And I believe, as part of my life, that there are people waiting to help you do whatever it is you want to do. You just have to figure out what you want to do, and they'll show up. See, they don't know they're supposed to help you because they don't know what you're trying to accomplish. And so you miss them. But if you just get focused in and you start down the path, read the book The Alchemist, this is what it talks about. And it's true, it happens. The wackiest stuff starts to happen when you get crystal clear on what it is you're trying to do. Only 20% of the people feel that their strengths are in play every day. And yet, for the upper echelon of people, they do nothing but spend time in their 20% all day long. Because we have this flawed assumption that we can learn to be competent in anything. That's true. But the big problem is that we think that the room for growth is by mastering or working on your weaknesses. That's false. Stop trying to work on your weaknesses, folks. It doesn't work. If you read enough about the people we would aspire to, the Buffetts, the Bransons, the Jobs, the Gates, the whoever, you will discover they don't work on their areas of weakness. They hire to support their areas of weakness. They work on their strengths. Buffett reads about 6 hours a day. That's really all he does. Because each person's talents are endearing and unique, and your greatest room for growth is actually in your greatest strength. Growth of your business revolves around 6 things. Number 1, your personality. So yeah, everyone should take a DISC test, or an Alessandra, or a Myers-Briggs, or something. They all basically test for the same things. Number 2, your business model, which we're going to get to at the very end. Number 3, how clear are you that you really want to go do this? See, there's a certain percentage of people that are on this webinar today. 2021 will be your breakout year. You'll finally, once and for all, make the decision, I'm going for it. There's another group of people that 2021 will be a really bad year for some reason. Perhaps something will happen to you early in the year and you'll let it set the tone, right? But for the vast majority of people in any group, here's what plays out. 2021 looks pretty much like 2020, which looks pretty much like 2019, right? I set this new annual goal every year and I kind of end up the same spot. Well, that's because our habits generate that level of production. Your confidence is a huge deal in defining exactly what you'll go do. It's not cockiness, it's just an underlying confidence. Materials are massive, and I know that the company provides you guys with a lot of materials. I certainly hope that you use them. And of course, ultimately, we're going for your consistency. If we can just be consistent. Remember, you'll only consistently do that which you enjoy. You'll overestimate what you can accomplish in a year and underestimate in 10. You'll overestimate in a month, but underestimate in a week. You'll overestimate in a day, but underestimate in a week. I mean, it just, right? Just a little bit every single solitary day. 3 key people. You need a consultant, somebody, not me, but somebody from, well, it could be me, I guess, but somebody from outside of your business that looks at your business in a different way. Somebody that you check off with that might give you a little bit different way of looking at it. Number 2, you need a mentor, someone who has walked or is walking down the path that you want to walk down. That's a key component. And the last one is a peer partner, somebody that you can check off with. Now, there's 3 kinds of time in life, guys. 3 kinds of time. This is a huge concept. Number 1, there's playtime. Now, playtime is defined by quality and quantity. Playtime is us going, doing the activities we want to do. It's traveling, it's eating in fine restaurants, it's driving cars that we want to drive, whatever. We want high quality, high quantity playtime. That is driven by the quality of our pay time, not the quantity of it. It's the quality of it. And the quality of our pay time is driven by the quality and quantity of our prep time. See, if you don't prep enough, you don't study enough, seek wisdom, and all those things I've talked about, you'll end up spending a lot of time in pay time. And then you don't have high quality, high quantity play time. I mean, if you really think about it, every waking moment of every day, you're in one of these three kinds of time. You're either playing, you're working, or you're studying. Spend time prepping so that you can have higher quality pay time, and then you can go take all the trips you want to and do all the things you want to do. Get better. Follow the model of the elite athlete, right? I mean, elite athletes, they make millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in a short season. But what are they always doing? They're always practicing. Always practicing. Some issues that I think currently shape the market. I think you need to acknowledge where the marketplace is. Number one, we have been on a 7-year run. This thing is crazy good right now. Some of us on here remember 2008 and 9 when you couldn't give houses away. Now we can't get enough houses to sell. This is not normal. It will turn. We are in a cyclical industry. I don't know when it'll turn. Different people say different things. They think we're pretty safe through 2021 was the last thing I read. But ultimately, things are going to churn, right? And whether your business is up, down, or sideways should not be driven by the market. It should be driven by your mindset and your daily activities. The number of leads being generated is just huge. They're calling everything a lead now. We're up to, last stat I saw was from 2018, about 86 million leads generated on 5.5 million transactions. Give you some perspective. 2012, there were 4.6 million transactions and 4.5 million online leads. Now we're at 86 million leads and we're up to 5.5 million transactions. Does this mean that all of a sudden there were 84 million more people that wanted to do a real estate deal? No. This means we're calling everything a lead. We're trying to get you guys to buy them. Okay? And here's what I think is probably the biggest issue shaping our industry today. Amazon is going to do away with shopping malls ultimately, or at least in their present format. COVID is helping them with this, right? But the online play is going to do the same thing to the realtor community if we don't wake up. Now, here's what I mean by that. In this Amazon world that we live in, you're seeing the big box retailer get shuttered all across the country. And yet, you're seeing the boutique stores have a resurgence because of the customer experience, right? If you think about it, why do I go to a boutique store? Because they know me. They curate my clothing for me, if you will. That's the level that you need to take your real estate sales business to the boutique level of service level. You can't just be this interchangeable piece anymore. Market trends to consider. Number one, the scrolling society. We've changed because of our telephones. No longer can you build rapport over time. That was the old model. Sign into my sheet at my open house. Give me your name and your address and your email, and I'll start sending you some listings. That doesn't move anyone anymore. You have to be able to engage them and show value and differentiate yourself early at initial contact. Value is shown three ways. Number one, it's your initial dialogue with people, showing them that you're not what they expected to see, because what they expect to see, sadly, from our industry and what they run into, and I still listen to tons of Zillow calls every week, what they expect is a non-professional part-time realtor who either doesn't answer or doesn't ever call them back. You have the ability to differentiate yourself in initial contact. Your materials massively differentiate you from the average, and then your processes that you take people through. This is where our work needs to be, guys. The more technology we have, the more we're going backwards in what we need to work on, which is that day in, day out skill set. And trend number 2 is communication. As we use more and more online strategies, whether it's dot loop, DocuSign, whatever, understand that your value proposition is diminished the more you're just firing emails back and forth to people or texting people constantly. It's really hard to become the trusted advisor of someone via email, text, and online signatures without ever talking to them. And just remember the communication food chain. Face-to-face wins. Now, we're in a COVID world, and I get it. But as soon as we have the opportunity to go back and sit down with people face-to-face, I would suggest you start doing that. Because you'll get voice inflection, body language. It's two-way communication. We can play off of each other. Next to that is phone, right? I guess next to that actually is what we're doing today is Zoom, right? Although I'm the only one talking. But phone, voice inflection, my message probably doesn't get lost. Then we have video, a one-way video out. If you're not, every time you engage someone new, guys, in this industry, if you're not sending them a follow-up video really quickly to just say, I wanted you to put a name with a face. It's a pleasure meeting you today. By the way, here's some information that tells you more about me and the way that I work. If you're not doing that today, please start with every new client that you run into or potential client. Text messaging is next. And lastly, the worst way to communicate with anybody is email. Those are the 2 worst ways to really communicate with people. And just remember, the more important the topic, the more personal the engagement has to be. All right, lastly, let's go through some quick numbers and then we'll open it up for questions. There's 2 components to business planning. There's the emotional component, the I want to do X this year. And then there's the mathematical component to it. The what do I need to, how do I need to break this thing down so that I know that I get there? So the truth is, the goals are one thing and models are something completely different. See, just setting a goal doesn't do it. You've got to have a model behind it. In fact, you have to have a model for all key parts of your life. All right, the model habit is crucial. See, annual goal setting doesn't work because you only have to check off on December the 31st to figure out whether you got there or not. I've had this conversation with people over the last few weeks. I had 2 different people who said, oh, I'm going to miss my goal by 1 deal. And I'm like, this is, listen, get this mental image in your head. You're watching the finish of a marathon. And there's somebody that's taken every bit of energy to get across the finish line, and then they collapse right after they go across the finish line. That is not how you're supposed to run your year. You're not supposed to collapse over the finish line on December 31 with your final closing and make your goal by $1. You're supposed to have passed your goal back in September, right? Building in some wiggle room there in case some things fall out. The reason it doesn't work is because you only have to check off once. Better than that would be quarterly. We'd at least have 4 times to see if we were on track. Better than that would be monthly. Better than that would be weekly. But where it flies is daily. Where it flies is daily. I mean, this gentleman, I've got to go to a funeral tomorrow in Oklahoma. This guy was a huge farm and ranch guy. He wrote 5 notes a day, every day, handwritten notes. He would write notes to people that had land, and it simply said, if you're ever considering selling your land, let me know. And I'm like, Sherman, what's the return on this? He said, Wayne, it's way too hard to calculate. I do a ton of business off these notes that I write every day, 5 days a week. And there was a gentleman in the same session Sherman was in, and he made the comment. He said, well, rather than doing 5 a day, My goal is to do 25 in a week. And I go, that's the trap. See, you won't get them done on Monday because something weird will happen. And you'll think that's okay because you don't have it. Your goal is 25 by the end of the week, but then Tuesday something else happens. And Wednesday you get a buyer and you've got to show property all day. And you get down to Friday and you're like, oh my God, I haven't written any notes this week. Now I've got to write 25 of them on Friday, right? It's like, I don't have time. The power is in the daily. The power is in the daily. You guys have this page. You've seen this page before if you've been around me at all. This is what I drive everything by, okay? I'm just gonna walk you through a really quick scenario. Let's say that someone wants to make $200,000. Their average commission rate is 3%. I know it's Jersey, it's probably 2.5, 2.25, something like that. If we take the amount of money that you want to make, we divide it by the commission rate, that's 6.5 million production. Divided by an average sales price of 150, because I live in the Midwest and our sales prices aren't nearly as high as what yours are. That's 45 transactions that we need for the course of a year. After that, it's just like, how am I going to get to 45? As Yoda said in Star Wars, do or do not, there is no try. Once you say you need to do 45 transactions, then let's put a business plan in place. Let's learn what we need to learn to make 45 transactions with some wiggle room. Start with your network. This particular agent, I call him Rudy Remax. He has 100 people in his network, but he's massively in flow with those people, and they each know 5 people in the course of a year who will do something. He would have the Jennifer Dodds closed Facebook group. He would be constantly in flow with these people. And that's 500 potential referrals. But we acknowledge that 95% of the time, he doesn't get the referral, or he doesn't at least get paid. He might get the referral, but they're upside down in their house. They don't take the job, whatever. They have another realtor they like. But 100 people, if they really are your guys, right? They really know you. They really like you. They really want to deal with you. That should generate 25 transactions a year. If you focus on being massively in flow with those people. 100 should get you 25. But that's not enough because he needs 45. He does 3 FSBOs a week and he understands the dynamics of it. That's 150 contacts. He does an expired a day. And there's a myriad of ways to get there. Times 50 weeks times 0.75, which represents the fact that 25% of expireds really are done. They've tested the market. They don't want to play anymore. That's 187 in the course of a year. He does 20 open houses. He figures that 5 people will come in each one, and half of them really are the neighbors, and they're not any good, but he makes sure he does his 20. That's 50. He gets a half an ad and sign call a day. That's 70. He gets an internet lead a day. That's 70 because of the conversion rates. 527 total generated leads at the same 5% rate. Now he's got 26. 26 plus 25 is 51. He needs 45. Now we have the beginning of a business model. Now we have to go line item by line item. You have to see, this guy has to see 3 for sale by owners a week or get in flow with them. What days are those going to be? What time of the day is that going to be? Same thing for expireds, right? On the network side of it, how many thank you notes are we going to write? How many thinking of you notes are we going to write? All these things have to be broken down to a day. And what you discover is this is the greatest part-time job ever. You're hard pressed to work more than 40 hours a week, honestly. Now this is, look, this career, this chosen entrepreneur, and it's not just real estate, just being an entrepreneur. You never get to turn it completely off. I think we would all acknowledge that. But if we can become more focused in on the right things, and you can say no to any of these things that are up here as generated leads. You don't have to do this, right? But if you're going to do it, figure out the best pathway for you to do it, what materials you'll need, what the dialogues need to be, work on those, and all of a sudden the world starts to fall into place. There's that old story about the little boy who his dad had promised him he would go out on a Saturday and they would spend the day together. And the dad was drinking his coffee early in the morning on a Saturday morning. The little boy's like, "Dad, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go." And his dad was reading the paper. He thought, "I really wish I could finish the paper before I did this." And so he remembers there was a picture on the in the paper, a picture of the Earth. It was like an ad, and he tore it up in little pieces and he threw it on the table. And he looked at his son and he goes, "Hey," he said, "here's the first thing we're going to do today. I want you to take all these pieces of paper, and I want you to put the world back together." And he figures he's bought himself, 15, 20 minutes easy, maybe an hour to read the paper. And about 3 minutes later, the little boy says, "Dad, I'm done." And Dad looks down and the world is right there. And he goes, "How did you do that?" And the little boy said, "Well," he said, "one of the pieces of paper fell on the floor. And when I bent down to pick it up, I looked up on the other side." And he said, "This glass top table, I realized there was a man. There was a picture of a man on the other side of the world. So I just worked on putting the man together and the world fell into place." So if we just do every day, just a little seeking wisdom, right? A little more action, a little better decisions, it's inevitable. We have to get there. And ultimately, what you can turn it into is what I call a proactive calendar. Most agents have massive reactive calendars. They leave huge blocks of time open in case somebody calls. We don't want to do that. We want to have our set business model. We know exactly what we're going to be doing every day. So here's a sample of a possible perfect day for you guys. Charles Schwab said the hardest struggle of all is to be more than the average person. And from The Alchemist, when we strive to become better than we are, everything around us becomes better too. And that is true. Everything around you becomes better when you decide you want to get better. I'll leave you with this. In 2021, I would ask you to be very clear on what it is you want to do. Be very confident and work to build your confidence in pursuit of what it is you want. Be very consistent and make the decision to make 2021 the year of your dreams, because it's out there for all of us. 2020 year can be, if we do the right things daily, our breakout year. Or it can end up being just like last year. That's the goal. Make the decision. Get aligned with someone who can help you walk through exactly what materials do you need, what are those dialogues, all those things. As I've said before, you all are very lucky to be in the company that you're in. I'm very lucky to get to work with you guys. There's my contact information. If you ever want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of Carl or Olivier and they'll help you. I'm going to stop the share and open it up for any questions anybody may or may not have.
All right. Wayne, I think I just made myself the host again.
Yep.
So great. Wayne, that was amazing. Thank you. That was put everything into perspective, and it is mindset, guys. And to Wayne's point, and what I alluded to with the introduction, it shouldn't just be putting out a PDF or filling out Wayne's worksheet of what your goals should be. You have to work on them, and it needs to be those daily activities that will get you there. It's not looking at it once a quarter or at the end of the year saying I'm one deal short, or I got to get some more done in the last quarter to get there. If you're doing the daily activities, you will absolutely hit those goals. So I appreciate it, Wayne, and I love the want versus the why. I think everyone says, well, what's my why? But no one really looks at what they want. And if you know what you want, I think it's easier to build a roadmap to get there.
I think there's more accountability when you get to a want.
Yeah.
That why can be out there and never land,
Exactly.
And I think truth is truth. And I think when we focus in on what we want and how we want to do it and how we want to get there, I just know there's no bias. I mean, it's the politically charged environment we're in. I don't believe there's any bias in real estate sales. I believe that if you do the prescribed things and you get really, really good at this, It doesn't matter whether you've been doing it, whether you just got your license or you've been doing it forever. It doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman or as I said, college degreed or whatever. You have the ability. It's an open playing field.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of it. I think that's why we were attracted to it.
Yeah. Wayne, I think that's it. I don't see any questions in the chat box. I know I answered a couple as we were going, but I appreciate it. If you can, Wayne, someone did ask, can you share some of the slides? Absolutely. I know we have your worksheet, so if you could share, that would be great.
I will share the slides.
Excellent, excellent. And guys, we'll post this in our Facebook group as the recording, as well as Wayne's worksheet. I hope you guys were following along. If not, we'll get you guys the answers. But Wayne, again, thank you. Hope everyone has an amazing 2021. Always appreciated, Wayne.
Bet. Have a great week, guys. See you.
Take care, everyone.